Welcome to Take Me to the Cloud, a place for business professionals to hear insights and best practices from industry experts that combine cloud systems, operations, supply chain, and finance.
Welcome to Take Me to the Cloud. Today we're on another version of our program. Today with me is Michael Fagan from Steal It, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. I'm Wally Marcus with Witham. I'm the senior manager here in the cloud technology practice. Michael, welcome.
Oh, hi. Thanks. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm Michael Fagan. I'm president and CEO of Stainless Steel Coatings. We're the makers of Steal It. And that brand name is really how people know us. That's a high-performance anti-corrosion coating. We've been in business for 50 years, but we really have a startup mentality, have been growing, especially during the last 6 or 7 years.
Excellent. Well, thanks again for being with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about brand awareness today, Michael, and we're going to walk through a few ways how to leverage cloud technologies to assist with collaboration, all the various ways like outsourcing and how a company like yours might do reports and analytics. And we'll kind of walk through that together. As you think about that, let's start with some brand awareness elements. What are some of the challenges when you're considering what market to consider, when you're considering how your product fits in? What are some of the things you think about for brand awareness?
Yeah, that's a topic we think a lot about. Our coating, our product, keeps metal from rusting. That doesn't by itself identify a vertical. There's metal everywhere. And so how do you decide where to focus? Traditionally, this company's first niche was in food processing equipment. It's USDA certified or compliant for incidental food contact and really provided a great answer to problems that food manufacturers were having in the 70s and 80s and continue to have to this day. But what we came to find out that we had become a word-of-mouth product in off-road racing. And that surprised us. And we looked into it and realized what an opportunity we had there, because off-road racers want to share with the world what solutions work for them. And Steal It had become one of the solutions. We found a post on social media, somebody in off-road racing who was praising Steal It. And that was a surprise to us. We had no idea we were being used in that market. We sell through distribution, so we don't know who the end users are many times. And we contacted this person and found out that Steal It was so durable that their chassis, suspension components, and other parts no longer rusted when they raced in Baja, right? That's a salt air environment, and your parts are being sandblasted, essentially. And Steal It was holding up. And we realized that off-road racing was a tremendous platform for us to use to grow our sales and enter other industries. Off-road racers love to share the successes with each other. And we realized there were lots of posts about how great Steal It was. So we started to focus on that market. Now, we're talking about branding. And one of our taglines, say, which we've had for 50 years, is stainless steel in a can, which is a fine tagline. It draws people in. They said, what do you mean, stainless steel in a can? And it starts a conversation. But in some ways, it's a weak tagline because it doesn't express a benefit. It tells you what the product is. So as we focused more on branding, we started to come up with additional taglines specific to the market we were pursuing. In off-road racing, Steal It was becoming a substitute for powder coating. It was more durable, easier to maintain, had other benefits. So making powder coat a thing of the past is something that we started putting on the back of our T-shirts. And that is a very effective phrase because people say, what do you mean making powder coat a thing of the past? And again, it draws them in. It makes them ask questions and gives you an opportunity to explain the benefits of Steelit in their industry. But something like that doesn't work in, say, the architecture market. You're talking to an architect, and there we'll use a very different phrase. We'll use express the beauty of steel. Our original color is what we call steel gray. It looks like sandblasted steel. And one of the architects we were talking to just loved the way he could protect the metal and still have it look raw and natural. So you have to start to, as you're branding in different markets or to different industry customers, you need to find the words that reach them.
Yeah, I like that a lot, Michael. And I think that what I love to hear there is how you started with something very simple in the off-roading market, and then you've expanded that to go in other markets. And I think that in of itself is really cool. To express the beauty of steel, to me, I love that story every time you tell it. So I think it's a really cool way for people to understand how important it is to make sure you're targeting and branding towards your customers and having that experiential marketing and that they could relate to your product. I think you said pretty loud and clear. Let's pivot a little bit, if you don't mind. Let's talk a little bit about, so now we've got in front of this market and we built this brand and we're considering cloud technologies. And why would we say in a manufacturer? And some of the things I jotted down here are things like outsourcing or data analytics, or even the tools we use, for example, like a CRM, whether that be, Salesforce or Zoho or NetSuite, whatever it is you're using. Let's talk a little bit about why folks might use cloud technologies to support brand and brand awareness in terms of collaboration. What can you tell us about outsourcing, Michael, and the ability to use cloud technologies?
Well, there's outsourcing in two senses. One is we outsource internally. We operate as a hybrid company, meaning that we have people working remotely. We have people across the US and abroad. So the cloud technology lets us collaborate and share ideas, brainstorm, develop content, pass it around, get comments. It's incredibly efficient, as I'm sure anybody who's used it knows. That's a kind of outsourcing, even though it's internal. But what it also lets us do is bring in third parties who work very closely with us, other companies, and bring them onto our platforms and collaborate the same way we would internally, but bring in these additional specific skills where we need them. And it makes possible the kind of operation that you'd have to be a much larger company to have realized 30 years ago, even 10 years ago.
Yeah, I like that. That's very interesting too. That bringing talent where you need it and the ability to sort of leverage the technology so that we can pick up where we left off last, and so that there's no gaps like we used to have if we had everything on a whiteboard. Working in digital, we end up in a lot more interesting place to collaborate. Are there other ways, as I start to think about that business, getting reporting and getting the analytics, whether that be email marketing. So as you consider going out to the marketplace using tools like Marketo or HubSpot or even Salesforce Marketing Cloud, for example, as you go out to that, you're sending, emails and awareness, and people are logging into your website and you're tracking all of that, pulling all that information together in the analytics. Is that something that you think for the brand awareness is important, or is that just a secondary part? How do you feel about analytics and measuring your brand awareness?
I think it's critical to brand awareness. It's critical to the entire business. You get so many benefits from those analytics. But concerning branding, we're using email marketing campaigns. We're posting on social media and getting comments back. People are direct messaging us. We give our product away. We give samples away because it works so well that some people don't believe even a customer testimonial. We find that once we get our product in somebody's hand and they use it, They understand the benefits they're realizing. So for us we're pulling in data from e-commerce, from direct messaging, as I mentioned, and it lets us start to build an understanding of our customers by vertical, by the questions they ask, by the benefits that they underscore, why they especially like our product. And we can use that communication from them and our ability to track it and tag it to help us talk more effectively back into their niche.
I like that. I really like that. I like the way, really, if we tie this together a little as we close out the podcast here, as we tie this together, using the cloud technology allows you to look across all of those platforms. And whether you're driving an experiential marketing campaign, meaning getting your product in front of somebody and letting them use it, whether you're doing that in the field and you're at one of the events you spoke about or not, or whether you're just simply trying to get communication in front of folks, tying that all together in an analytics to try and drive toward buying behavior, customer type, and your ideal customer. I loved how you tied that together for us, Michael. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you joining us here today on the podcast, and I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your interest. Take care.
You've been listening to Take Me to the Cloud. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to be alerted of new episodes. For more information, visit withum.com.